November is Lung Cancer Awareness Month. Do you know the early warning signs for lung cancer? Catching it early can be life-saving, and our friends at Riverside have more information for us. So let's check out what they have to say.
Anyone from age 55 years to 80 years who has a 30-pack year history should be screened for lung cancer. Up to 90% of lung cancers are due to smoking. The other 10% are due to risk factors such as genetics, history of radiation to the chest wall, people who have certain diseases like HIV and pulmonary fibrosis are at a higher risk. By the time a patient develops symptoms of lung cancer, it may mean that the cancer is a little more advanced. But the things to look out for would include cough, chest pain, shortness of breath, coughing out blood, weight loss, fatigue, night sweats, voice hoarseness. November is Lung Cancer Awareness Month, and it's important to talk about it so people can know if they have risk factors that can place them at a higher risk for lung cancer so they can come up for screening. So the low-dose CT scan is the screening modality for lung cancer. The aim of doing the test is to detect lung cancer at an early stage where it could be potentially curable. So it's a quick, painless test where the patient comes in, has a scan within a few minutes, and goes home, and then we call them and let them know if the CT scan looks good or if there's any evidence of cancer.
My initial CT scan did not light up the little dot in my lung. It lit up something in the back of my throat. So I go in for another scan, and that's when I go in to see my general practitioner, and she goes, "I got good news and bad news. The thing in the back of your throat didn't light up, but the thing in your chest did." So I went to see Dr. Schlise, and he says, "We need to get this taken care of." My name is Chris Emerson. I've worked for Columbia Gas of Virginia for 35 years. This is my wife, Robin. I was diagnosed with lung cancer in October of 2019. When I lived in Midlothian, I saw a general practitioner. Her concern was I was a prior smoker. She thought I should have a baseline CT scan, chest scan, and there was a little blip that showed up, and they said, "Well, we'll see what it looks like next year." Each year or 2 years, whenever I would get the chest scan, it didn't increase in size until October of 2019. The chest scan came back, and it was not a great deal larger, but it was larger, and everybody was concerned.
If your low-dose CT shows a nodule or a mass or an enlarged lymph node that may suggest cancer, here at Riverside, the pulmonologist will talk to you, will talk about the best approach to biopsying it, whether it's through a bronchoscopy or a CT-guided biopsy or even surgery. And if it comes back positive for cancer, we have multidisciplinary meetings here with the oncologists and the surgeons where we decide on the best approach for that patient.
So I was diagnosed approximately October 2019. The thoracic surgeon wanted to know when I would like to do the surgery, and I wanted to push it off until after the first of the year. And he said, "I'd rather not do that." He goes, "I'd rather get it out as soon as possible." So scheduled the surgery for November 20th. Because it was so small, I didn't have to undergo any sort of chemotherapy or radiation therapy. I've had a lung scan since, and it's clear.
Don't delay your testing because of COVID. Here at Riverside, we make every effort to make the patients feel comfortable and safe. So the patient can stay in the car pending the test, and then when they come in, they can stay in the waiting room and they're socially distanced. The machine is completely wiped down before and after use, and everyone has a mask when they're approaching the patient. So it's very safe to come in.
It was a pretty amazing process. I have been involved, either myself or a family member, in care in different hospitals in the area, and this was by far the nicest stay of any of my experiences. Everybody was just so attentive. I raved about it at the time.
Riverside. And the nurses and the staff.
It was fantastic.
They were great.
That's what you call inspiring stories there. Be sure to talk with your doctor today, or go online to riverside.com. It's displayed there below on the screen to learn more. And Patricia, studies show when detected early, lung cancer is preventable, treatable, and beatable.
Yeah, that's right, Quincy. And as a COVID survivor, it's really important to know who in your network, family, or friends had COVID in the past. So Covidwise is a new app in Virginia to help you to do just that. To talk more about this, let's welcome Jeff Stover, Executive Advisor to the Commissioner at the Virginia Department of Health. Welcome, Jeff. How are you?
Hi, nice to be here.
Hey there, Jeff.
Hi. Welcome to the show. Jeff, tell me a little bit, what is this new app called Covidwise in Virginia, and why it's so important?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. You know, Covidwise is the nation's first exposure notification app. So what that means is, you know, we have technology now in our pockets that allow us to be able to receive potential exposures to COVID-19, you know, when we're around people we don't even know. So it really means that the community has to come together. The more people who use it, the better off we are. So that when you're in line at the grocery store and you don't know the person behind you, and that person later tests positive and they reported it through the app, you know, you, depending on some of the risk factors involved, you know, you may very well get a notification, and there's no way you would have gotten that otherwise.
Wow,
That's very interesting. And can you explain, Jeff, how the idea of Covidwise came about through Apple and Google Play, and how they played a role?
Yeah, so Giants, you know, I think they came together in the very early days to say, you know, we think we've got technology that can make a difference here. So they came together before states started thinking about this, really, and said, we've put our heads together from an Apple and Google perspective, and this is what we think we can do. So they did that. They put a skeleton together that lies in the operating systems of these Android and iPhones. And a place like Virginia, we could build an app to do exposure notification that sits on top of that skeleton, right? So we put the skin together, we put the muscles in it, and we make it work, but we can't do it without that framework that they provided to us.
Oh, okay. And Virginia was the first state, right?
We were the first state, that's correct.
Good.
Yes, that's awesome that we are the first one. So how it really works, I download the app, and my family and friends, because you just say that if I'm in the supermarket, but as someone else have the Covidwise app, I can have a notification. So it works via Bluetooth, or let's say my friend, she doesn't have it, I still have a notification from her or not?
No, so both phones. So it's not about people at all, right? It's about devices. That's what it's about, right? Your device is just attached to you most of the time. So we make it seem like it's you. So it's all Bluetooth. So each phone has to have that app installed. And then if you're within close enough proximity, it's Bluetooth, right? It's sharing keys, just like you do with your speaker in your bedroom, except you're sharing it with another phone. So the fact that you're having lunch with someone, for example, you're sharing keys about every 10 to 20 minutes. Wow. And they record those numbers of each other. So if one of you reports positive later on, and what you're really reporting are those strings of keys. So then my phone is going out and looking at this key server that people report to if they send in something, right? And looking for other devices that would match the keys that are on my phone, because our two phones shared keys at one point in time. Right?
Okay, and here's where it can get a little, confusing. Now, you've talked about who should use Covidwise, but how do we protect our privacy? I mean, you're talking about sharing a lot of information.
Yeah. So excellent question. And this app, we collect 0 personally identifiable information and 0 location data. It's all Bluetooth. We don't need to know where you are. We don't need to know who you are. All we need to know is that those Bluetooth keys matched at some point in time. So even if they do match, right? Even if your phone matches with someone else's that had reported, there's no way for us to be able to tell where that happened. We know when it was because a date timestamp.
Exactly.
But we don't know where it was. And that doesn't really matter. What really matters is there was an exposure, and you either were or were not, exposed for a long enough period of time in close enough proximity to result in an exposure notification.
The most important is the notification. And Jeff, this app works for all kind of phones, Samsung, smartphones, regular phones, everything?
It works for smartphone. It works for iPhones and Androids. I don't have the specific updates on me at the moment, but the vast majority of all Android and iPhones will be able to use this. Some very old versions will not be compatible, but we don't control that. That's really a Google and an Apple issue.
Okay.
So there are a few people who can't use it because they have a very old phone, but the vast majority of people, that's not a problem.
This is great, Jeff, because I just recently had COVID, and now that I reported on my Covidwise, because I do have it, you can get approached and you get notifications so that this can keep safe everyone around me and my family and friends. So I love it.
Yeah,
that's right. And this is where people can get more information if they need to get the information about Covidwise. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right. Well, with Jeff visiting, staying healthy makes sense, Patricia. But what about your fashion sense? Stick around and find out. We got more show left.
I'm ready.